Hey guys, Ed here, bringing you part 5 of the Archer series. I know it has been a while since I uploaded a part of this series, but I hope you guys pay attention to the detail. I hope you guys enjoy. And that said, let's get into it.
Fearless.
Where we last left off. After making a terrifying first impression in class by threatening the teacher and putting Baku in his place, everyone was going to do what the teacher asked them to do, until Aizawa called one of the students that was daydreaming. And by the name itself, Izuku knew that person in question was his sister. Aizawa would say, "Miss Midoriya, I'm not going to repeat myself." Miyuki would say, "Right, sorry." Izuku went to put on his gym uniform. Everything pans out normally, but in this case, Izuku wouldn't care what the guys would have to say. While on the girls' side, the girls were mainly concerned that someone like Izuku was in a hero school, and Ochako played the part of devil's advocate. Ochako would say, "Guys, don't worry about Izuku. It's true that he may seem a little loose cannon, but I swear he does have good intentions." Mina would say, "Ochako, was it? I went to the same middle school as him, so him being a loose cannon is the least problems he caused. He's selfish, a bratty kid, thinking that a flashy quirk makes him the law or something. And he's always looking for a fight. He wanted to pick a fight with a probable villain not too long ago. Does he have a death wish or something?" Miyuki was reminded on what Baku might do. Tsuyu would say, "Yeah, I agree. Did you guys see how he handled Mr. Aizawa, Ribbit?" Jiro would say, "Which brings up the question. Why does he hate Mr. Aizawa so much?" Hagakura would say, "You know, he did mention that he had a girlfriend, which brings up the question, what happened to her?" Ochako would say, "I don't think it's for me to tell you." Mina would say, "You know him best, considering you literally pulled him outside the class by the ear." Ochako would say, "Although we've known each other ever since we were kids, let's just say he wasn't always like this. Back when we were kids, he used to be kind, hopeful, caring. He was always willing to extend a hand to help others. And all he would do is to come here at UA and become the greatest hero ever. Although he was a late bloomer." Miyuki looked at Ochako if she was describing her missing brother. She wanted to say something, but she simply looked at a picture of the two of them when they were younger, hoping that wherever he is, he's doing fine. Mina would say, "That's absurd. How can someone like Mato be the way you said?" Ochako would say, "Well, simple really. He lost everything. So in his eyes, he's got nothing else to lose." Tsuyu would say, "What do you mean, Ribbit?" Ochako would say, "I personally don't know his parents, but he lived with his grandfather, and to him, he was his father figure, and that's when he met her. And they started to live under the same roof." Momo would say, "You're speaking past tense. Does he not live with his grandfather?" Ochako would say, "No, he doesn't, because he passed away a few years back. So ever since then, it was just them under the same roof. So me and her decided that we should let him make a move, but I doubt that was the case. She probably used the fact that they lived together to her advantage." Hagakura would say, "Wait, why does it go back to her?" Ochako snapping, she would say, "It always does. They didn't even get along for the first year. She hated him. I was always there for the both of them. and I became friends with him in the first place. And when she found out I had feelings for him, she just got to him first, before I could tell him how I felt. So I went to the sidelines, but then she had to get herself killed and make things worse. The girls looked at her with concern. Ochako would say, "I'm sorry for snapping like that. I didn't mean to yell." Mina would say, "My tea senses are tingling." Mo would say, "I believe there's more important things than tea." So you would say, "What do you mean by she had to get herself killed, Ribbit?" Ochako would say, "Well, let's just say the two of them were going to London to visit her family, and on their way back, they would have visited Paris. But a villain attack occurred on their way to the airport, and the only two casualties were the driver and her. And the pro hero that arrived after, everything was none other than Mr. Aizawa. So he blamed him for what happened. And ever since then, he turned out the way he is. But I don't expect you to understand his pain, because you didn't have to deal with it firsthand. But if anything, try to understand him if you can." After that, Ochako finished up changing and headed outside. The other girls were confused, but eventually joined the rest to class in the track field. Aizawa would say, "Well, Mato, you've gotten the highest score in the entering exam, also beating All Might's record in the process. So how far could you throw softball in middle school?" Izuku would say, "I don't know. I never really cared for something so stupid and mundane to begin with, so if you don't mind, I'll just go over there and watch the rest of you do your thing." Katsuki would say, "No, in other words, you're gonna be doing the hell you want. Just who do you think you are, enrolling in a hero school?" Izuku glaring daggers at him, she would say, "I could ask the same thing to you. Especially how you treat people. You're nothing but a bully. People like you are simply insecure about themselves, and their big ego is there to compensate for a small wiener. And unlike you, I got nothing to prove." Bago was embarrassed, and everyone in class started to chuckle, including Aizawa. Bago was about to attack Izuku, but Aizawa simply stopped Bago in his tracks with a scarf. Aizawa would say, "Alright, enough, Bakugo. It seems that Mr. Mato hit the nail on the head with you. So, if you don't want to be expelled here and now, you'll stay put." Bakugo clicked his tongue, and he looked away in annoyance. Aizawa would continue. He would say, "And you, Mr. Mato, if you'd like to sit in the sidelines, you have to earn it by throwing this ball. If you impress me, you can go over there and watch. But if you don't, you have to go through the whole thing like the rest of them." Izuku smirking and going to the circle, he would say, "So all I have to do is impress you. That's gonna be a walk in the park. But you better keep your word." Aizawa would say, "Alright, you can go ahead, use your quirk, anything goes as long as you're in that circle." Izuku caught the ball, and he was about to throw it. But then, with his eagle-like vision, he saw something happening in the city. So he asked for a marker, which Aizawa gave him. Izuku wrote something on the ball, and then aimed the ball in the direction of the city. With reinforcement magic, he reinforced his arms, and then he threw the ball. The ball went so fast that it broke the sound barrier, but as soon as the score was shown, he had made 6,599.8 meters, making everyone baffled by Izuku's throw. Izuku would say, "So, Mr. Eraser, you impressed?" Aizawa would say, "Why didn't you use our quirk?" Izuku would say, My quirk is fire-based, so it would actually destroy the ball instead of helping or enhancing my body physically. So I decided not to use my quirk. Again, are you impressed? Aizawa would say, "Sure, I clearly underestimated you. Now you can go and do whatever." Izuku lighting a cigarette, he would say, "I knew it was going to turn out like this." Ida would say, "Mr. Mato, don't you know smoking at your age is illegal, and not to mention harmful? Ida did not have the chance to finish. Izuku blew smoke in Ida's face. He would say, "So what? What are you gonna do in order to stop me, engine boy?" Ida was about to take the cigarette from Izuku's mouth, but Ida received a gut punch, a kick to the knee, and an elbow to the skull, knocking him completely out in less than 2 seconds. Izuku casual as if nothing happened. "Does anyone else have a problem with me smoking? Good, I'll be over there." Ida was taken to a recovery girl and everyone had their turn. As Izuku was relaxing in the shade, he noticed someone gaze on him, but he looked around to see where it came from, but he couldn't find any traces of it. One thing he did know, it wasn't from his classmates, nor Aizawa. It had to be someone in UA grounds or someone watching from far away. By the end of the school day, Izuku was about to exit UA grounds until a familiar voice stopped him in his tracks. Miyuki would say, Mato, are you free?" Izuku turned around only to see Miyuki. He would say, "If you want to go out, you can forget it. I don't want to get entangled with someone like you, or from that family of yours, Midoriya." Miyuki would say, "What's that supposed to mean?" Izuku would say, "I know your dirty little secret, and it disgusts me, knowing that you would leave your sibling to die." Miyuki, surprised, she would say, "Wait, you know my older brother? Is he okay? Do you know where he is?" Izuku would say, "I have no reason to answer those questions, but if you must know, he is dead. And it's your family's fault. Now leave me alone." As Izuku was walking away, he could hear some faint sobs that clearly belonged to Miyuki. But as he was walking away, he noticed something about her felt off. And that's when Ochako appeared from behind, the gates of UA confused. "Izu, don't you think you went overboard?" Izuku would say, "Not really. She got what she deserved." Ochako would say, "Since now we're alone, mind explaining what you did to that Bakugo?" Izuku would say, "If you must know, Ochako, I knew the both of them before I was taken in the Mato residence." Ochako would say, "So, were they friends or something?" Izuku would say, "First off, my former name was Izuku Midoriya, and Miyuki was my sister. Bakugo, on the other hand, he was a friend. Before he awakened his quirk, after his quirk manifested, that's when he became what he is now. A bully with a superiority complex." Ochako would say, "Are you planning to fix things with your actual family?" Izuku would say, "No. I don't want them in my life. That said, I don't need you to go blabbering your mouth to either of them. So don't you dare go spilling the beans." Ochako would say, "If you say so, I'm not going to say anything." Izuku would say, "Out of curiosity, is it just me, or there's something off-putting about her?" Ochako would say, "Not really, why do you ask?" Izuku would say, "While I was talking with her, I noticed her tongue. It seems that part of it was darker than it should have. I think I'm going to investigate a little bit." Ochako would say, "Wait, what? What do you mean that her tongue seemed darker? And how did you manage?" More importantly, how are you going to investigate? Izuku would say, Ochako, my eyes can see everything. Didn't you question what I did with the ball earlier today? I saw Yuki being harassed by a perv, so I took care of it by throwing the ball at him and knocking him out. So in up-close conversation, I can see the detail even if they're trying to hide them. I heard something about a hearing class with a pro hero tomorrow, so I'm guessing that's how. So I hope you've been keeping up with your training. Ochako would say, although I don't come close to the same number of magic circuits as you, I learned to do something that involves my quirk, but you'll have to see when the time comes. Izuku would say, on second thought, why don't you keep an eye on her and an ear on what she says? Afterwards, you tell me everything, and if I need to investigate further, I'll do it myself. We skip over to the day of the Heroes vs. Villains mock battle. Everyone was excited to know which bro would be teaching, until a door suddenly opened and All Might in a Silver Age costume greeting the students. All Might would say, I am here, coming through the door like a normal person. Today, lessons will be battle training. Before you go, you must look the part. These are the hero costumes designs that you submitted, so put them on and meet me in Training Ground Beta. The students did as they were told. The guys didn't have the guts to talk to Izuku. Izuku got changed and he was the first one out. On the girls' side, they mainly noticed how Miyuki was acting all morning. And at that point, she explained that she felt exhausted, although she slept for a good amount of time. After all that, the other students finally made it to the training ground. While All Might was complimenting the students for their costumes, Ochako told Izuku all she heard and saw about Miyuki. All Might, reading the script, would say, alright students, today's lesson you'll be teaming up in groups of 2, and it'll be a 2v2 battle. 2 will be the villain team, and holding a prop bomb on one of the buildings, while the other 2 will be the heroes trying to find the bomb. The villains win by capturing the heroes or stalling for time. The heroes win by capturing the villains or touching the bomb. As the lots have been drawn, same teams as per normal, Izuku was paired up with Ochako as the villain team, and Bakugo with Ida as the hero team. Izuku smirked in anticipation. To be continued. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment down below. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more. Turn on the bell notification to be updated so you never miss a video. That said, peace out.